Hello, everybody. My name is Shayla Blackshear. I'm your host. Welcome to the Hustle Bubble. Here we have the lovely LaQuisha Smith, the author of the new release 6-Year-Old Millionaire, which is the basic survival guide to teaching your children sense. Also, recently launched a lingerie business earlier this year. Congratulations on your success.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That really means a lot to me. I am so grateful for that. Thank you.
Yes, I'm so glad that you agreed to do this interview. I guess we can just jump right into it. So
Okay.
you mentioned in your book when your daughter came and asked you for $3 to buy snacks at school, you asked her, how much of this are you going to save? She responded, none. You don't save. How did that make you feel? Was that your wake-up call?
It made me feel horrible. That was absolutely my wake-up call. I just kept thinking like, well, what else is she picking up from me in a negative
Mm,
way?
yeah,
It made me just want to question everything that I had done up until that point.
yeah, yeah.
It was
That was
actually very humbling. It was very humbling.
yeah, yeah. When I read that, I was like, wow, like that was just like, like I can't even imagine, feeling the way that you were describing in your book. That was
Yeah.
incredible. Um, so also, you stated children are a byproduct of your behaviors, tasks, beliefs, and habits. A reflection of your own life is also a reflection of theirs. How has your daughter's life changed once you started to change your financial mindset?
Um, Well, for starters, I always get the short end of the stick at the mall now. So, I mean, her life has changed for the better. But honestly, I've seen such a difference in her responsibility. Me raising awareness around something that was so essential for us to maintain caught her attention in a really good way. So I'll hear her on the phone with her friends now, just kind of giving them little tips and being very conscious of her spending when we're out. And it's just really been a very beautiful thing to watch for her.
Wow, that's really powerful. How old is she
hmm
now?
She'll be 13 this year, so she'll be
Wow.
13 in June. Yeah, it literally took me 7 years to put this out, but we started when she was very young, and
Mhm.
we've continued it on. And every year, it seems like she gets a little bit wiser, a little bit more responsible, a little bit more conscious.
Yeah.
So it's really been a blessing.
No, that really is an amazing story. And to hear you say that at 13, she's having conversation with her friends about money. I wasn't even
Yeah,
thinking about money or anything like that at 13.
right, right.
Like, so she's
Me
definitely in
either.
a great position. That is amazing.
Thank you.
So I love your challenge on page 12, which was printing out your bank statement from the last 30 days. Highlight
Mhm.
every time you wasted money on food, leisure activities, and others that were not your bill. What message was you trying to get across by telling your readers to do this challenge?
Um, I simply wanted to just raise awareness around where your money is going. Americans are we're literally driving and eating our money away. I
Yeah.
mean, we have to drive to get to school, we have to drive to get to work, to the grocery store, wherever, and we don't really realize it. I mean, we need those things, so it's not something that we can just eliminate. But I think that people think a few dollars here and there is really nothing, and that
Right.
really adds up over time,
Right.
especially when you're doing it every day. I really want people to be conscious of their spending. I really want people to learn how to create a budget around their spending so that they have an accurate account of what's coming in and what's going out. Because it's very hard to do when you're just aimlessly spending.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't even realize it when you're in the act of spending money. And then when
Right.
you kind of like look at your bank statement, it's kind of like you're looking yourself in the mirror, like it's really me that's doing all these things. This is the reason why
Exactly.
I'm in the situation that I am. And here's the proof right here. It's in your bank statement. So that
Right.
was that was
And how
amazing.
many times, have we said, where is my money? Where is my money going? And it just is really eye-opening to see where it's actually going.
Yeah, all the time, all the time. I loved it. Um, you
Thank
s-
you.
you stated what's your subconscious mind like what your subconscious mind is fed and what it stores is perceived to be true. How important was it for you to change your subconscious mind?
Um, I knew that what I was doing didn't work at that
Mhm.
time, right? Honestly, the first time I was introduced to the concept of your subconscious mind and what it can do for you and how it can change your life, I didn't believe it. But I figured anything was better than what I was doing right there at that time, and just really reading up on things and making myself aware of what was going on around me was really one of the most, to answer your question, was one of the most important decisions that I've ever made in my life, and quite arguably one of the most critical decisions that I've made for my daughter's future as well.
Absolutely. It kind of reminded me of reading The Secret. I don't know if you
Hmm.
read it, but basically it's all about like, your how you set your intentions means everything. So like
Right.
the power of the tongue is it's so powerful. What you believe, is true. So it's like
Hmm.
you really have to mind what you're thinking in your head or what you're saying out loud because it may come to true. So um,
Yes, it is very true. I mean, what you tell yourself is, what you believe.
yeah,
And the mind works in such a powerful way is that you want to be feeding it positive things at all times. And, we have so many thoughts that run in and out of our heads, right? I mean, billions of
absolutely.
things pop in there, but it's what we choose to entertain. And we can easily dismiss negative thoughts once we start to practice how to do that.
Absolutely. How does
Mhm.
that like tie into to wealth for you?
Well, if you believe that, oh my gosh, I don't have enough, or
Mm,
I'm, always just making ends meet, or
yeah,
I'm broke, or we can't afford that. That's one of the things that I heard growing up is we don't have money for that. Do you have money for this? I don't. And so those kind of things kind of limit what we think about our success or what we think about
absolutely.
how we manage money. And, those little things that we change about our mentality makes the difference in everything.
Absolutely. It's funny that you bring that up. I was literally thinking this literally last week, and I was saying that we really have to change our mindset of, I can't afford this, I can't do that,
Right.
to how can I afford this? How can I, doing that? And it's all about switching your mentality. So that was a great piece that you added. Um I loved how you said you must get into the habit of recreating ourselves. If you want to
Mhm.
recreate your finances, you must essentially recreate your actions. What was one of the first things you did to recreate your finances?
Budget, 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 budget. I had to make a list of my bills, my debts, my income. There was absolutely no account of my finances. I literally was just swiping my card, and I got real strict about spending. I realized that the majority of what I was spending leisurely could be sacrificed temporarily, and that's important. Sacrifice is definitely important. If I feel like what was so life changing for me about my budget is that I realized that I did not have enough money coming in.
Mm,
And so when you create your budget, it's like this epiphany that you have. It's like, okay, I have this amount set for my bills. I have this amount set for my groceries. I have this amount set for mortgage, rent, whatever. And then you realize I don't have enough to eat out every day.
yeah,
And one of two things, when you come to that realization that you don't have enough for whatever you want to do, one of two things need to happen. I tell people this all the time. Either your income needs to increase or your lifestyle needs to decrease. And at the point of time when I was writing this book, I didn't have much to decrease in my lifestyle. I mean, I was living on bare bones. So it was like I needed to increase my income. That means sometimes for people getting a second job, selling things, whatever you need to do to get you the amount of income to where you're able to comfortably save and comfortably spend on leisure and pay all of your bills. And so usually that's the tipping point, is that there's not enough money coming in, and people need to figure out a secondary stream of income so that
yeah.
you do have enough.
Yeah. So as like recreated yourself and like your finances, did like your old self kind of creep back in or kind of influence your behavior? Did you dip back into your own self? And if so, how did you battle that?
All the time. It is an ongoing battle.
Mhm.
So it's like, your old self is going to want to creep back in and be like, you can't do this. What are you doing? Because that's a comfortable place for you. You have to remember, people grow up in this years and years and years of telling yourself you can't
Yeah.
afford, you can't do this. You hear from your parents, and we trust our parents as children. And so that's where a lot of our beliefs come from. But it's just reassuring yourself that you're on the right path. And when you start to get those confirmations of things, when you're telling yourself positive things and positive things start to happen for you, you want more of that. And
Yeah.
so it's about constant reassurance to yourself all the time that you're doing the right thing. Even when those negative thoughts creep back in, you can't let yourself slip back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. On page 25, you stated you wanted your daughter to think that the small penny is just as significant for growth as the almighty dollar. I tell people all the
Mhm.
time, if you can't manage pennies, you can't manage dollars. How can parents or future parents teach their child the value of a penny?
Um, I don't think the value of the penny is as important as actually understanding the concept of why it's valued. Because most people can look at a penny and think it's worthless. I mean, it's worth 1 cent, right? But
Yeah,
what happens when there are 100 of them
right.
or 500 of them? Then you're really looking at a very different scenario at that point.
Mhm.
I relate it very similarly to how interest compounds.
Mhm.
So the results start off very small, almost unnoticeable. And then over time, the more that's accumulated, the more that it grows. And that's the same with pennies, with nickels, with dimes, with whatever. Obviously, if you're saving hundreds, it's going to accumulate faster than saving
Yeah,
pennies, but the concept is still the same. And so that's typically what I try to do, relate to parents, is that it's really the concept.
right. How can the parent or future parents like kind of instill that into their child and kind of give them the leg up in the future? So how could they?
Um, well, it's a process. So,
Okay.
like when you see a penny and you pick it up, it's like, okay, we're going to go home and we're going to put this in a jar. And
Mm,
then I think having children go to the bank and see the process and engage in the process of saving and feel excited about it. And also, not only that, they want to feel rewarded for the things that they do. And so, getting to spend a lot of the money that they save is also exciting for them. And
yeah,
so that's how parents can engage. It's different steps, right?
okay.
So it's saving, it's going to the bank, it's depositing,
Mhm.
it's setting aside a little bit of it for spending so that it still makes it fun, and it gives them a sense of responsibility too.
Right. Yeah,
Hmm.
I seen your like I was on your profile page and I seen like you did videos with your daughter about going to the bank and trips and things like that. I thought that was amazing. Like I thought that was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, we have made bank day a thing. So, every Saturday we go and we make a deposit of something. I don't care if it's 5 cents, I don't care if it's $35. It's the idea that it's still going in and
Right.
still accumulating, right? And so that's been very interactive for her. It's very fun. She's kind of grown up with the people there. They've seen her for years, they know her. And, it's just a fun way for her to engage. And she loves being able to do it on her own. She goes right up to the counter by herself. I don't help her anymore.
Yeah,
And she's able to manage and feel like she's a little adult, so to speak. So they love that. It's very engaging.
that's good.
Mhm.
So as a weekly routine, you ask your daughter how much do you want to save. Even if she gives you an unreasonable number, you still map out how to get there. That concept is so critical. Why do you think it's important to map out even if it seems unreasonable?
Goals are, it gives you a starting point,
Mm,
right? It's much like a budget. So it clearly defines what your starting point is and what you hope to achieve by the end of everything.
right,
Successful people set goals.
right,
And so that's the starting point of everything. I believe it is such an integral part of keeping us focused, and it creates an outline of how to get where we want to be, whether that be with success, with money, with relationships, with whatever. It gives you an outline. I always relate it to the analogy of like running a race. right? And you're blindfolded. If you don't set goals, it's like running a race blindfolded. Everyone else
Wow.
can see the finish line and you're just running aimlessly,
Right.
and so it's very important to have that clear, defined endpoint of where you want to be, and it sets you up with how to get there. So you can see how to get there, but if you're blindfolded and you're not setting goals, you can't.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Do you have one of our last questions? Do you have any advice for parents or future parents who want to teach their child about finances?
I get this question a lot. Parents will DM me all the time and they'll say, "Well, my child is 21," or, "I've been saving for my child all her life or all his life, and I really don't know how to incorporate." And one of the first things I tell them is that it's never too late to start. You
Yeah.
know, we can always recreate habits. I feel like I read somewhere that it takes 21 days to form a habit. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you're 11 or if you're 21, you're still able to recreate and start new habits. So, it's never too late to start. And then they always go through this guilt trip of, "I wish I would have started sooner," or, "Oh my gosh, I wish I would have known about this." It's this hindsight thing that gets
Yeah.
them in this place of, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I wasted all this time." And I always want to tell them to be kind to yourself. You don't know what you don't know until you don't know it.
Right.
Right. And so when you do have this information, you can create a fresh start from anywhere.
Right.
And that brings me to my last point is that I always tell them to start somewhere.
Mhm.
It's like, you've been saving for your child their whole life, but you can start today to teach them to do it themselves. Your child is an adult, but they're still asking you for money because they're messing up their finances. You
Mhm.
can start somewhere. It's
Right.
never too late to start. And I think that gives them a sense of relief
Yeah.
because we always can create, a fresh start from anywhere.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
My last question, shameless plug. Where can our listeners find you?
I my personal Instagram is at Kiss Me Key. That's KISSMEQUI. You can find the book at the number 6-year-old millionaire.com. I encourage everyone to go out and get it, read it, even if you don't have children. It's great for mindset stuff. And so that's the 6-year-old millionaire.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this
Thank you.
interview. I really